Imagine this, a shipment worth $500,000 disappears in transit. You call the logistics provider expecting answers. Instead, they point to a vague contract clause and suddenly, you're on the hook. No reimbursement, no accountability, just silence and a lawsuit waiting to happen. Unfortunately, that's not just a cautionary tale. It's a reality I've seen too many businesses face, all because they didn't have the right terms in their logistics contract. I'm Santiago Cueto, a board-certified international business law expert, best-selling author, and founder of Cueto Law Group. I've spent nearly 3 decades helping companies navigate the fine print of logistics, from Fortune 100 giants to ambitious startups. And today, I want to show you exactly what you need to include in your logistics contract to protect your business, your cargo, and your bottom line. Let's dive into the essentials your logistic contracts need to cover. Because in the world of global trade, what's written in black and white can save you from millions lost in gray areas. First and foremost, your contract must define who is responsible for what at every stage of the shipping process. Sounds obvious, right? But you'd be surprised how many logistics contracts use vague language like provider will ensure timely delivery. That doesn't mean much when your goods are sitting in customs or stuck at a port. Specify who handles customs clearance, who books cargo space, who is responsible for damage during handling, whether the carrier is a subcontractor or the primary party. Details matter. If you're dealing with international shipments, you also need to include Incoterms, those standardized international trade terms like FOB, CIF, and DDP. These 3-letter codes determine when liability shifts from seller to buyer. One misplaced Incoterm can mean you're liable for freight damage after it leaves your warehouse, or responsible for duties you never budgeted for. Always define the Incoterms and ensure everyone knows what it means. Next, most logistics providers limit their liability drastically, usually to a few dollars per pound or even less. So if your goods are damaged, you'll get a fraction of what they're worth unless you've arranged adequate insurance. The contract should make clear whether the provider is carrying cargo insurance or whether you need to. Spell out the coverage amounts, exclusions, and claims process. Here's the truth. If it's not in writing, you don't have it. Also consider delivery timeline and penalties. Deadlines matter. Whether it's perishable goods or just-in-time supply chains, delays can trigger a domino effect. So include specific delivery windows and attach consequences for delays. This could be liquidated damages, rate reductions, or termination rights. On the flip side, give yourself flexibility if you miss a step, like providing paperwork or scheduling pickup. Mutual accountability keeps both sides honest. Look, the world doesn't always cooperate. COVID-19 taught us that. So did the Suez Canal blockage. Your contract should also include a force majeure clause, not just a generic one either. Tailor it. List specific events, pandemics, port strikes, cyber attacks, fuel shortages. Define what happens during a disruption. Is performance paused? For how long? Who bears the cost of rerouting? Don't let the unexpected wipe out your margins. Dispute resolution is another important consideration. If things go sideways, where will the legal battle play out? In your state? In their country? Under arbitration in Singapore? Your contract should specify venue, governing law, and dispute resolution methods. I recommend arbitration clauses for international deals. They're faster, more private, and often more enforceable than litigation across borders. And choose a jurisdiction you understand. Don't let the other side dictate unfamiliar terrain. Look, data security and confidentiality has never been more important in our digital age where technology moves at lightning speed. And logistics isn't just about moving goods. It's now also about moving data. Tracking numbers, shipment info, pricing structures. This is sensitive information. Make sure your contract includes a data security clause that requires reasonable cybersecurity measures and a confidentiality clause that protects your proprietary business operations. This is especially important if you're working with the tech-enabled logistic platforms or sharing APIs. Now, the next one is crucial. Include a termination clause. You should never feel trapped in a bad logistics relationship. Your contract should define when and how either party can walk away, especially for consistent failures or breaches. Define what happens to undelivered goods, unpaid invoices, and any shared assets. Make the exit plan before you need it. I once worked with a client in the electronics industry who failed to clarify who was responsible for customs paperwork in their logistics contract. A $700,000 shipment got flagged for misclassification and sat in port for weeks. Storage fees alone hit 6 figures. Worse, their logistics provider claimed they weren't responsible. The contract was silent on it, and that silence cost them millions. Lesson learned: clarity in logistics is not a luxury, it's survival. So what should you include in your logistics contract? Everything that keeps you out of court, out of chaos, and in control. Your logistics contract isn't just paperwork. It's your first line of defense against supply chain risk. It's your insurance policy against finger pointing. And when done right, it can save your business from unnecessary losses, reputational damage, and legal nightmares. Look, I've helped hundreds of businesses structure bulletproof logistic contracts. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's this: the most expensive clause in your contract is the one you forgot to include. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I regularly share legal strategies to help business owners protect their operations and scale with confidence. And if you've got questions about your logistics contracts or need a second pair of eyes on a deal, drop them in the comments below or reach out. I'd love to help. Until next time, ship smart, contract smarter. See you in the next one.